All right, guys, we're doing Kyle Pitts tonight. We're going to start off with a PPR scoring, no tight end premium. And then we're going to go to PPR with a 1.5, and then up above that to the heavier tight end premiums. Let's get started with a no tight end premium. Are you going Kyle Pitts or Najee Harris?
Oh, Scott, did you want to jump in here? Because I have an answer.
I will go Najee Harris.
Oh, so you're going to play devil's advocate and choose the wrong side. Awesome. I didn't know we were doing that. I'm taking Kyle Pitts. Yes, please and thank you.
Kyle Pitts or CeeDee Lamb and Dawson Knox?
Kyle Pitts.
I will go CeeDee Lamb and Dawson Knox. So listen, if you're just going by sheer number of points and you expect Kyle Pitts to hit the peak of the current tight end landscape, right? You're talking maybe he hits in a PPR 16, 17 points per game. Maybe more one time in his career. I mean, how many points last year did Mark Andrews score? 17.7. Travis Kelce, 16.4. Now, Najee Harris is one of those where it's like, okay, you probably are getting what you're going to get. He's probably going to be like a 16 to 18 point per game running back until the brakes fall off and then the car doesn't run anymore. So I can understand if you say, okay, I'm building my team for some mythical 10-year window like Shane must be playing in. You know, give me Kyle Pitts that may outscore Najee Harris when Najee Harris is 31, which actually is going to be here in about 4 years, 5 years.
Yeah.
So
another month.
yeah. I think with tight ends, if you're talking just PPR, I think there's some strategy behind which tight end you start in place of Kyle Pitts. Now, if Dawson Knox fits your build, then fine. If I can platoon a tight end with Dawson Knox that's similar to him, I'm okay with that. If I can also platoon in a super flex league, both tight ends that I have my starting quarterbacks with, that's even better. You know, if I have Justin Herbert and Josh Allen, I'm not going to try to get Kyle Pitts in the same league. I'm going to say I can get Gerald Everett, Dawson Knox, I'll platoon. I'm stacking. I'm already aligned with the quarterbacks that I have, which, okay, Dawson Knox, Gerald Everett might have 4 or 5 games where they score 15 points in a season, max. But you know what? I'm doing them on the same week that I'm getting the production from Herbert and Josh Allen. So I've aligned my tight ends that way. But I've plugged in CeeDee Lamb, who, okay, CeeDee Lamb may not be an alpha number one receiver, but CeeDee Lamb's probably going to score 17, 18, 20 points per game. Same thing with Najee. So it's just a pure points thing. It's not that Kyle Pitts isn't the most insulated asset. If you're giving me the ability to fix my tight end room at least 50%, because with Knox, I can probably move Knox for Hayden Hurst or whoever my stack is, right? Dalton Schultz. I can figure out a way to do that. But man, I'm definitely getting the point advantage with Najee or Lamb.
So this doesn't have to be a mythical 10-year window. This is going to be next year when Kyle Pitts is dropping 18 fantasy points a game next year. All he needs is just a little bit. And I hate this word, progression, right? Because it's cop-out. 110 targets, and he had 1 touchdown. That's not normal. That's abnormal. I just looked up Rob Gronkowski. He's had 3+ seasons. He had 3 seasons with at least 17.5 fantasy points. Travis Kelce's not as good as we thought he was, by the way. He's only had two of those seasons. Only 2 seasons, 18.5 and then 20.9. That was really good. I'm looking for Kyle Pitts to put up seasons like that pretty much every year. We just saw his worst season. Positional scarcity. Yes, there's positional scarcity at a running back, but it's a lot easier for me to find a player in the Najee Harris realm than what you're going to be able to find in the Kyle Pitts mold.
Does he have a QB issue? What's elephant in the room? QB, you don't care.
I don't care. He had the corpse of Matt Ryan out there. He had corpse bride of Matt Ryan, and he was fine. If he has Marcus Mariota, Desmond Ridder, doesn't matter. Like, some players are quarterback proof, and a tight end just happens to be one of those types of players that can be quarterback proof. It's a bad quarterback. Guess what? He's going to target his tight end a whole lot. If it's a good quarterback, guess what he's going to do? He's going to target his elite tight end that runs like a wide receiver.
All right, so now we're going to do Kyle Pitts in a 1.5 tight end premium. So regular PPR for everyone else, 1.5 for the tight ends. Pitts or Dallas Goedert and a 23 first?
Oh, that's Pitts by a lot.
Yeah, he had to sucker me with that 23 first just to see if I would take it. But
yeah,
I think you're what Shane talked about with Pitts before. You're getting up there with the points per game now, where he's going to be a little more on par with the receivers and the running backs. And I'm okay giving up the first to, again, this is an investment. You know, Pitts is going to hold his value. As long as he doesn't get hurt, he's going to hold his value to where next year you might even be able to get more. So it isn't like he's one of those where you're going to be afraid next year that you're left holding the bag on a less valuable asset. So I'll take Pitts.
What about Travis Kelce and a 23 first or Kyle Pitts?
I think I'd still go Pitts, but that's a tougher one because I was going to bring that up on the regular PPR. Like, what's the trade-off? You pay up for Pitts. I go buy Andrews for 30% of what you just paid for Pitts. Now you're really in a hole. You know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of deal you can counter with, and people may devalue, Kelsey in the PPR. So 1.5, I think I'd still take Pitts, but very close. I'm curious what Shane said. He was not as...
Yeah, no, I mean, that's closer, but I'm still taking Pitts.
So what if you look at that 23 first, and we all think we're Nostradamus being able to pick where that 23 first is going to be. What if you swear it's going to be in like the 103 to 105 range?
Well, I'm going to know that I'm wrong because I have literally no clue. And half the time when I think I have an idea of where a first round draft pick is going to be, it's in the completely other half of the round. So that's what I'm going to tell myself. And then I'm never going to think about that trade again. I'm not going to track that first because if it does end up being the 101 or 102, I'm probably going to cry myself to sleep.
And Shane will be looking to send Kyle Pitts next year for that pick.
For Bijan.
When he really wants Bijan.
Exactly.
Straight up.
Yeah, it's one of those things like when you get into the weeds, like looking as to, okay, what is this guy's matchups for the first handful of weeks? All right, what's the record going to be? If you're that far in the weeds, just take the best player in the deal. Yeah. It's just tie goes to the best player. Let's talk about Kyle Pitts in the tight end position in a 1.75 or 2.0 tight end premium or a start 2 tight end scoring format. So Kyle Pitts, or we'll go Dallas Goedert again, and 223 first.
So in a start 2 tight end league, I'd actually be more apt to take this trade versus a start 1 because you're kind of nullifying the positional advantage. Goddard is going to be more valuable because relative to a lot of the other tight ends starting in the league, he's still going to be a positional advantage. So in that case, like if you came to me in a start 2, even if it's only like 1.5 premium, I would definitely take the Goddard in the 2 picks because I'm probably going to be able to end up and flip one of those picks for another. I might be able to get like Andrews for one of those picks, you know what I mean? Or Hawkinson for one of those picks.
Well, so those are 2 different things though. Could you get Andrews for 2023 first? No.
If you maybe add a piece, but I'm saying if I can turn one of those 23 firsts into Hawkinson, all of a sudden, or Waller or Kittle, all of a sudden I have 2 tight ends that are still a positional advantage, and I banked the 23 first. And you may still be struggling at your second tight end, right? Because you just gave up 23 first just to upgrade at the position. Literally, you could argue Pitts is the 101 in a start 2 tight end with any premium. Like you could argue he's almost more difficult to obtain than any of the elite quarterbacks, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then if you can trade him for something like this, that you almost trade off of that. You know what I mean? He's more valuable to me if it's a 2 PPR and a start 1, because then I may smash the position for a long time.
So remember, it's a start 2 tight end, right? So everyone's thinking like you, though. Everyone's going, well, I don't want to give up Dallas Goedert. In that type of league, Goddard, like you said, Goddard's very valuable. This is one of the spots where I'm going, all right, let me get the anchor in there, and then I'll figure out the rest where I'm drafting Gerald Everett.
So let's go to a 1.75, and this is just a start 1 tight end. Are you going Kyle Pitts or Jonathan Taylor? And let's throw in Evan Ingram.
I mean, just sheer points. I know Shane disagrees, but Jonathan Taylor's still going to probably outscore Kyle Pitts for a little while. And Pitts is probably going to be somewhere 17, 20 points per game. So, I mean, it's close. But
so
again,
the way you build your teams, what would you do? What would you take there?
Well, the issue is I wouldn't want Jonathan Taylor either.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. So this trade would never happen because Jonathan Taylor's not on Scott's roster.
Yeah. I mean, if Jonathan Taylor is on my roster, I'm probably looking for a different type of deal than just trade him straight up for Kyle Pitts. But, I guess if I'm in a position where I have other running backs, I may consider it more heavily. Like it's more of a nuanced roster construction thing. But probably if I have Jonathan Taylor, me personally, Jonathan Taylor's like the anchor on my team. You know what I mean? I'm willing to go the other route and try to stream / stack with my tight ends versus go pay for Kyle Pitts. Or if I'm trading Jonathan Taylor and I can actually get Kyle Pitts, why can't I get Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson or, a CD Lamb in a first or something like that? Like we talked about those trades and you're like, I'd rather do that. So it just probably wouldn't happen. But I also wouldn't take Kyle Pitts in a startup either. In this format, 1.75, he's a first round startup pick.
Yep.
I'm probably going quarterbacks in the first round.
did a 1.75 startup, and I took Kyle Pitts in the first, but it was at like 110 or 111. It was somewhere around there. And I'm looking, Dak or Kyle Pitts? Dak is very nice in a super flex. Kyle Pitts happens to just be an absolute abominable snowman in a 1.75 tight end PPR. So I'm going to take him here, and I'll see what the quarterback looks like on the way back.
Another 1.75 tight end premium trade. Would you rather have Kyle Pitts and Michael Gallup, or Jalen Waddle, Darren Waller, and a 23 first?
That's right. I'll take the package on that.
Whew, man.
Yeah. I can probably get a 23 first for Waddle. So basically it's Waller and 223 first, and okay, Gallup start 10. If unless we're starting like 13, 12, then Gallup is that's one of those you can't turn down.
Yeah, I gotta take Waller there. Waller's being discounted because he had one bad season because he was injured.
Let me ask you guys this though: you don't see these trades for Pitts. You go try to be the aggressor and get these prices, and it's no go. You know what I mean?
No,
I don't see him moved. I don't see him moved because
Correct.
nobody's gonna pay up.
He's in that range of players: Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson,
and elite in the first round quarterbacks. Basically,
yeah,
those are the most sought after assets. If you're not coming with 3+ first, people won't trade them.
Yeah, so you don't see them moving often, and when you do, it's never like, oh, that guy underpaid. It's like, oh, I don't know if I could do that. Like I don't know if I have the stones to actually make that offer.
If you take away one thing from this video is we're operating on a 12-team start 10 on most of our questions. So if you're in one of these really shallow leagues where it's 12 teams, start 9, just PPR, I would forgive a little more paying aggressively for a guy like Pitts because you're locking in one spot on your roster. But a lot of the leagues we play in are 12 teams, start 13, 1.75 PPR, point per carry. You know, you can start up to 7 receivers, inflated quarter. Like the values are all over the place. So ever giving up the price that it takes to acquire Pitts, Chase, Jefferson, the elite quarterbacks on the trade market, it's like, sure, I'll trade those guys, Clay or Shane, but I'm going to gut your team if you want them. And so like smart players or game theory players are just going like, okay, if I don't get my exposure to those guys in a startup or in just some other place where I can trade for them easier, it's just not going to happen. You know, you just don't see them moved a lot, like you said.